Yo, what's up guys? In today's video I am going to show you how to make your very own African cichlid fish food. So stay to the end of the video and I will give you the actual full recipe that you need to use to actually accomplish this. Right, so here's the ingredients. You're going to need a half a teaspoon of spirulina powder. You're going to need 4 teaspoons of gelatin. You're going to need 1 clove of garlic. You're also going to need 250 grams of peas. You could also use carrots and green beans, but make sure it does not exceed 250 grams. And you're also going to need 250 grams of shrimp. Okay, so once you have these items ready, we can start with the process of actually making the food. Alright, also make sure that you also have one of these little guys here. Let me just get a better picture of it. Let's see if I can stand it up there. There we go. This is a stick blender. Do not use a food processor. It does make the actual end result a bit chunky. This gives it a much more smooth texture. And what you want to do is actually add your ingredients a little bit at a time instead of putting the whole thing at once. It just makes it easier to blend them into a much more finer pulp. You're actually looking for kind of like a pasty mixture. So let's start with this amount right now and then I will show you exactly what I'm talking about. Just need to switch it on. There we go. Alright guys, as you can see, we've just done the first mixture. You can see it's quite pulpy, very soft, very pasty, kind of sticks as well. That's kind of the consistency you're looking for. As I mentioned earlier, do not do them all at once. It just makes it easy to do bit by bit. What I do suggest is when you are mixing your vegetables and you're kind of putting them in the processor, halfway through just add your garlic so it kind of blends in quite nicely, and then continue the rest. So I'm going to go ahead and actually finish this up and I'll catch you later. Alright guys, so we're done with the vegetables. We've got our peas and our garlic all blended in quite nicely. I do suggest getting quite a larger size bowl just to mix everything in together. I'm now going to go ahead and do the same thing with the shrimp. Again, same story. We're going to mix them bit by bit and then we're going to add it to this mixture and we're going to mix it all together. Alright guys, so we are done with our blending. We've got our shrimp and our peas and our garlic nice and mixed together to a nice thick pulp, very good consistency. It is now time to add the secret ingredient, spirulina powder. Now, before we do this, I need to mention one important thing. This stuff stains quickly. Do not get it onto your clothes or your fingers. It is extremely difficult to get off, okay? So without further ado, let's add this to our mixture. And what we need to do now is, after that, we actually need to mix this quite thoroughly into our blend, okay? So just back and forth motions, as you see here, get it nice and in there. It'll turn into a nice dark green color. And once you get to that color and that texture, then you know you're done, okay? Alright guys, so we have our spirulina mixed in quite nicely. As you can see, it's nice and dark green and thick in texture. Now what we need to do is we actually need to get a pot on the stove and put in 4 cups of water and bring it to a simmer. Now you will know when your water has been simmering when you see a few bubbles. As you can see, mine is not there yet. It will be there shortly. And what we're going to add to this is this little guy here, your gelatin. Now what you want to do is add this in small amounts, and you're gonna have to use a bit of elbow grease on this one. You're gonna have to mix it quite thoroughly and consistently until all of the yellow remnants has dissolved. So once my water is ready and it has been simmered, we're going to start with that process. Okay, so we have now mixed our gelatin with our water. So we have now mixed our gelatin with the water. As you can see, it's mixed up quite nicely. All the fine granules have actually dissolved quite nicely. You want to keep this on the stove while it is nice and hot, because this stuff does dry very quickly. So what you want to do now is grab your mixture, and you're going to take them in small spoonfuls like so, and you actually want to mix that into your gelatin. There we go. Make sure all the clumps have actually dissolved quite nicely. Okay, I'm gonna mix the rest of this up, and I'll catch you when I'm done. Guys, I've actually mixed up my entire mixture into my gelatin. As you can see, if you can see this, I've still got the stove on at the moment. As I said, the stuff does harden quite quickly. You can actually see it's beginning to harden at the moment. So what I'm going to do is actually just turn the stove off, and I'm actually going to take my pot over to my table. Alright, so now for the final step. What you want to do is actually get yourself a little foil tin like this that's kind of non-stick, or you can use ordinary baking tin, just line it with some foil, and you actually want to pour your mixture into this, and you want to get it kind of consistent and level. So let's see, grab a spoon quickly. There you go. Just grab them in small amounts and just toss them over. Go. The only reason why I'm not actually holding the pot right now and just actually throwing the whole thing into the pan is that the pot's kind of hot at the moment, and since I don't have anyone helping me with this video, unfortunately I'm gonna have to do it this way. So I'll catch you guys just now once I'm done with this. There we go. That's been flattened out and spread out into the pan. What you want to do is actually leave this for around 2 hours until it cools down to room temperature, and then you just want to pop this into the fridge again for another 2 or 3 hours until it's kind of firm. You will notice it when the actual mixture starts to peel off the foil quite easily, and then I'll show you a little trick as to how you prevent them from actually sticking to each other. Alright guys, so I've just taken the mixture out from the fridge. It's been sitting now for about 2 hours, and what you want to look for, if I just use a knife, I'll just show you now, it's going to be kind of firm. You can see it's like very rubbery, and right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them up into some cubes, and then we're going to pop them into the freezer. Okay, I'll cut them into my squares. I'm going to cut them in about 1 centimeter by centimeter or so squares, nice and small, so it's easier to feed your fish. Also, you don't have a lot of wastage. Now, I didn't mention that I've got a special tip for you, and that is you do not want to break these pieces out and actually pop them into a bag immediately. You want to put them in the freezer as it is, so they harden quite nicely, so when you do take them out and pop them into the bag, they will not stick to each other. So I'm going to pop them into the freezer now, and yeah, we'll pick it up tomorrow morning, and then I'll show you the end result. Okay guys, so it's the next morning. I've actually popped the food out of the freezer, and what I've actually done is just using a ordinary teaspoon, just kind of scoop them out of the pan. They are kind of like a chocolate bar. You just need to break them up in bits and pieces, and you just pop them into this little freezer bag here. Preferably get one that has a little ziplock built into it, and all you do is just pop this back into the freezer, and yeah, that's it. You can feed your fish these awesome treats.
Remember that this does not supplement their normal staple diet, which is probably going to be pellets. Feed them at most once a day with this food. This food does enrich their growth and their color. It's actually good for them. It contains a lot of algae and good products as well. So yeah, and I'm going to show you now how I feed them. Okay guys, I'm at my aquarium at the moment. You can see these guys are kind of hiding in the corner, and I'm just going to pop this in and you're going to see them just go at it. One thing I do advise actually when doing this is just to ensure that you do your frequent water changes. As you can see, it does actually mess the tank up a bit. It's well worth it in the end. Thanks guys for watching, and if you have any questions, please just drop them in the comments below. Also please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. Thanks.